You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the June 12th, 2023 meeting of the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accessLaPorteCounty.org.
Good afternoon. My name is Skylar York. I'm the Executive Director of the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission. I'll call to order our meeting tonight for the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission regular meeting. Today is Monday, June 12th, 2023, and it's about 10 after 5. I'll call the roll. Mr. Barrett? Here. Here. Ms. Dennis?
Here.
Mr. Domkowski?
Here.
Mr. Gertner? Here. Welcome. Miss Deitch? She is on her way. I'm not going to mark her absent yet. Mr. Werner? Here. We have all but one present. Our first order of business today is to the election of a new president. You might recall Chris Chatfield, our former president, has resigned from the board. So we have a position to fill. So at this time, I will open up the floor for just a reminder. Your current officers are Vice President Ken Barrett, and Angie Nelson Deitch is the secretary. At this time, I will open up the floor for nominations for the president position of the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission.
I move to nominate Mr. Gertner to fill the position of president of the Redevelopment Commission.
I have one nomination for Bill. Bill, do you want to serve?
Yes.
Okay. Any other nominations tonight? Tim, your light's on.
I will second the nomination for Bill Gertner.
Okay. Okay. I'll call for the vote. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What was it? Any other nominations? I'll call for the vote. Mr. Barrett?
Aye.
Miss Dennis?
Aye.
Mr. Domkowski? Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Domkowski. I apologize. Ms. Deitch is not here right now. Mr. Warner?
Aye.
And Mr. Gertner?
Aye.
Bill, the chair's yours.
Okay.
Aboard.
Bill, I'll help you get through this first one.
Appreciate it. Mr. Chairman, before we start on the regular agenda, Vaughn, who's the controller for the it's on. You sound like my wife, you know. Extension. Yvonne is here from the controller for the city, Michigan City, is here for the Redevelopment Commission to make a request. It's not necessarily an agenda item. It's not an agenda item. It's rather it's a well, I'll let her explain it, but it has to do with the bank and where we keep our banking, and she can explain that. But if we can do that first and before we move into the regular agenda.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yvonne Hoff, Master City Controller. Thank you, Mr. Cernak. I have been checking into interest rates and ways to earn a little bit more miscellaneous revenue for the city. And in doing this, two of our checking accounts for the Redevelopment Commission, the Northside TIF and the Southside TIF, are currently at PNC Bank that the interest rate is not real high and they charge fees. In speaking with Horizon Bank, they have guaranteed a minimum interest rate of 3.3% and no fees on the checking accounts. Looking at what we received so far in interest on the Northside TIF, with the increase in the interest rate on the account, that account will earn between $500 and $600 more per month in interest than it's currently earning. And the Southside TIF will earn between $1,500 and $2,000 more per month than what it is currently earning. So I just wanted to present to this board if you are in favor of me closing the accounts at PNC and reopening them at Horizon Bank, which would earn right in the neighborhood of $30,000 more a year in interest than what the accounts are currently earning.
I'm going to go ahead and abstain, considering my primary employment with a banking institute. Go ahead and call the vote.
I move that we close the PNC banking accounts and move the funds to Horizon Bank.
I second that motion.
Mr. Barron.
Aye.
Mr. Domkowski. Oh,
Yeah.
good. Sorry. Mr. Warner. Aye. Ms. Dennis.
Aye.
Ms. Deutsch.
Aye.
Mr. York. You don't vote either. All right. And the motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our next official business is the approval of the minutes for May 8th, 2023 executive session and May 8th, 2023 hybrid regular meeting. Entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
I second it.
Go ahead and call the vote. Mr. Barron.
Aye.
Ms. Dennis.
Aye.
Ms. Deutsch.
Aye.
Mr. Warner.
Aye.
And I vote yes as well. Move on to the next agenda item, the approval of claims from June 12th, 2023. It's me. This is a claims docket for Michigan City Redevelopment Commission for June 12th, 2023. This is an updated claims docket. There was one item that we put in new under operating. You might see that in red, the new claims docket I handed out. Payroll for May of 2023, we had CDBG reimbursables, staff and commissioners. From the operating account, we had corporate payment systems for Brownfield Conference registration for August 8th through August 11th for myself to go to this conference. We had Great American Financial for copier fees, May of 2023. Great American Financial for copier fees for June of 2023. Saranac Law Offices for legal retainer for May of 2023. From the North TIF, we had Barnes and Thornburg for Bloxham arbitration ending in 4/30/23. Butler, Fairman, Seifert, Washington Park Boulevard streetscape. HDR for station block TOD modifications. Primera street conversions from 4/1/23 to 4/30/23. Searnock Law Offices for legal services in the North TIF, May of 2023. Wallach, Summers, and Haas for legal services at Transit Center, April 2023. Wallach, Summers, and Haas for legal services, You Are Beautiful site, April 2023. Wallach, Summers, and Haas legal services for Transit Center, May 2023. From the South TIF, we had the City of Michigan City for reimbursement of wire debt service payment. Reimburse wire for debt service payment for the 2015 refunded 400 North bond. We had EC Babilla Roofing for roofing at Bozak Honda. This is the final payment. Haas and Associates for South TIF connectivity improvement project. Searnock Law Offices for legal services, South TIF, May of 2023, and U.S. Bank for administrative fees 4/1/23 through 3/31/24 for the 2015 refunded 400 North bond.
Thank you, Skylar. I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion for approval.
Before we get there, Skylar, what was a Bozak Honda?
So Bozak, I thought, yeah,
Let me address that.
absolutely.
I was
Yeah,
gonna address that.
yeah. Let's go ahead and do it because it's on our.
Oh, yeah, no, we're good. I talked to them today. I have no explanation for you as to why we closed this project, as you may recall, in July of 2020. So here we are almost 3 years later approving the final claim. And the only explanation I got was somewhere it got lost. But Billa was a subcontractor for the roofing to the new building, the new dealership at Bozak Honda. And as was the case of the law back in 2020 and 2019, contractors always had to put that 10% retainage. And that has to be paid at the very end of the project when all is completed. The law has changed now. That doesn't even require it anymore. Certainly not 10%. Somewhere along the lines, Babilla came up with, said, we never got paid. We never got our retainage back. We never got, and so they notified the contractor for the project, which was Danielson, Lawrence. What are they? Danielson. Why am I forgetting their first name? But anyway, Danielson was Larson Danielson. That's right. They were the contractors. That's who we always worked with. They were the project administrators. So Babilla went to Larson Danielson, and Larson Danielson then came to us. And this really is, that's why that's no explanation as to other than somewhere somebody got lost. So I think it got lost on the Larson Danielson side or the Babilla side, but regardless, it's a legitimate request. They did do the job. They did do the project. It was all met to standard, and they got the permits to open, and they've been doing their business for 3 years, and the roof hasn't leaked, I guess. So everybody's happy with it, except for they're not getting their 10% retainage back. So that's what that's all about.
Is that Bozak Honda or the Dave Taylor?
The Honda, so the new Honda building down on Highway 20.
Yeah, that's the new Honda.
Why do we have a construction project with them?
We did a construction project with them in 2019, basically as an economic development project. We paid, I want to say, $350,000, $380,000, something like that, for a complete renovation of the building. That was our portion of it. Obviously, Bozak paid a lot more than that as well. But the idea incentive was, as back in 2019, as you recall, I mean, we didn't have much to offer the city. We now have plenty to offer, but this was back in the stage of where companies would come to the Redevelopment Commission and seek assistance for projects in exchange for, we'll stay in your community, we'll create X number of new jobs. The building they replaced was an old out-of-state, it was not a functional building. And so that ended up being demolished, and they put this one as where the old project or the old parking lot was. And supposedly it's a state-of-the-art building, and they fulfilled their obligations. Larson Danielson just fulfilled their obligation. And most importantly, I think for the city is concerned, we kept that car dealership
Oh.
and the corresponding jobs in Michigan City when they were threatening to leave.
All right, that predated me. Thank you.
Was that?
That predated me. Thank you.
Yeah, it predated this commission
Yeah,
and
the entire commission.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the truth. I mean, when I saw that at first, I went back through the file and that's how I know the dates were. We closed this project out as satisfactorily completed in July of 2020. So
I have a question. So the vendor, so we're out 3 years and there wasn't any civil, anything that, did anybody get paid or they just kept sending a late notice?
no.
So they got paid?
Everybody got paid on.
We just didn't reimburse them.
No, we didn't even know about it. We thought we had reimbursed everything and they just discovered that,
Retainage was released.
yeah, they basically had one of those, oh, you know what moments and said, we need to get our money back or we need to get the retainage pursuant to the agreement.
Okay.
And they just discovered their mistake 3 years after the fact. My first reaction to that was, well, gee, I think you missed the statute of limitations, but it's a 5-year statute of limitations on work and debt and claims and all that. So, they could have gone another 2 more years before they asked us for this money. So,
Okay. But this is the retainer. This is the 10%.
this was retainage from the original contract. Yes.
Okay.
10% retainage. And then, we're contractually obligated for it.
All right.
So but there, as to why it took 3 years to get here, I have no explanation on that, except it got lost between either in Babilla's shop or Larson Danielson's shop. But we just got hit with the invoice 60 days ago, maybe, and it took me 2 months to get back in touch with them, but that's where we are.
we had to do the research to find out because we didn't have we had to organize, get the documents, et cetera, et cetera. You know.
It wasn't easy to discover this stuff. Yeah, it was, I had to do a little bit of work. So
I move we approve the claims.
I second the motion.
Go ahead and call the motion to vote here. Mr. Barrett,
Aye.
Ms. Dennis,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Warner,
Aye.
and I vote yes as well. Motion carries. Just a quick question. I assume we'll be accepting or receiving a lien waiver from the contractor after they get paid. Okay. So they agreed that we paid them, but okay. I understand. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Motion carries. Next up, we've got the financial report from April 30th. Skylar.
This is the balance sheet for April 30th of 2023. Cash in our operating account, we have $166,522.12. In the South Side TIF account, we have $7,720,828.56. Southside TIF debt reserve account, we have $336,308.50. In the Southside TIF capital account, we have $16,419.32. In the North End TIF account, we have $3,249,062.50. East Side TIF, we have $135,420.26. In the Northeast TIF account, we have $570,298.14. Loans receivable in the County Business Loans Fund, we have $133,333.00 for a total asset of $12,328,192.40.
Move we approve the financials as presented.
I'll second.
Go ahead and call the vote. Mr. Barrett,
Aye.
Ms. Dennis,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Warner.
Aye.
I vote yes as well. Motion carries. Next up, we've got the request to utilize redevelopment owned property at the UR Beautiful site. Skylar.
Tonight we have a request from Mr. Calvin Hawkins, and he's in attendance tonight. Calvin, the floor is yours. Please you can come to that mic, or you can come right down here, whichever one you prefer. But just tell us a little bit about what you're doing, what you're requesting. For the commission's consideration, we do allow people to use our "You Are Beautiful" lot for various activities throughout the year. As activities grow, they kind of outgrow the lot, but some activities stay. So this isn't out of the ordinary. We've granted this in the past, but right now, I'll hand the floor off to you and tell us a little bit about the project and timeframes and things of that nature.
I'm just trying to get the lot over there. I want to throw the 12th annual Nikisha show. It's for my we do an annual birthday bash for my daughter. She was killed here July 24th, 2011. So we honor her every year with this. I want to do it July 29th from like 12 to 8. And we just have a big car show for it and honor her.
How many cars do you think you'll have there?
I don't know, probably like 50 to 75.
How many people come to it?
Probably like 200.
Great.
I can show y'all $2 million event insurance also for the lot.
Absolutely.
Mr. Hawkins, sorry to interrupt. Just could you please state your name and address for the record for us?
Vaughn Hawkins, 325 Village Road, Michigan City, Indiana.
Thank you.
And I confirmed this is a pretty easy project. There isn't alcohol involved in it. So, you don't have to go through ATC, things that rope it off differently, separations, things of that nature. We talked a little bit about that.
Okay. Yeah, we just had a tent on there and then like the cars, they'll drive up to the tent and then we'll measure the decibels while they play the music, and afterwards everybody get a first, second, and third place trophy with my daughter on it.
How long will that last?
From like 12 to 8.
No, I mean the decibel contest.
Like how long I don't know, probably like 12 to 7 because we got to do the trophies and everything.
Okay.
So the measuring of the decibels, that'll happen for 7 hours continually, or
Yeah, it's not continuous, like 30 seconds at a time, but it's not continually.
I think the question, so for those that are participating, there be a time frame for the actual contest part of it? Like, will the cars drive up between 12 and 2 and get measured, or will it just happen throughout?
It just happens throughout, like when they come up there, because because they be looking at each other's cars and everything. So when they decide to come up to the tent.
Yeah, there's actually a car show aspect to it as well. I should say.
Kind of what we used to do when,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, isn't it? We used to do it over by Long John Silver's. Used to have a car thing over there. Now they do it over at at Al's sometimes, but I haven't seen it in a while. All right.
Where did you have the event before?
I used to do it at Wildwood Flea Market, and I've had it at the LaPorte County Fairgrounds, and then last year I had it at Carmart.
Nice. I like the aspect that you're wanting to utilize the You Are Beautiful site. It brings some highlight to the area. I think you and I have talked in the past before, and happy that you're continuing the legacy here.
Appreciate it.
I move that we allow for usage of the You Are Beautiful lot on July 29th from 11 to 8 p.m.
I will second the motion.
If I can just amend that just to include also contingent upon providing proof of appropriate insurance pursuant to city ordinance.
No problem.
So moved.
Give me that.
No problem.
So moved. And let me ask this question, because I know it says in the letter 1 million. Is that our minimum? 1 million, or is it 2?
It's 2. I give him. I gave you the
the paperwork.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I talked to Mr. Hawkins about this, and told him 2, and he said no problem.
Okay.
So yeah.
Feeling that sometimes people get wrong is in terms of making sure they also co-insure the redevelopment commission, since it is our property along with the city of Michigan City. So if you can just give me the policy real quick, and then should be no problems. Any problems with it, I can get back to you.
Yes, sir.
You got some time. And then the next steps, you'll go through the Board of Public Works and that's I gave you some notes on that. That would be the next step. So this gives us time to get on the next agenda for that.
And that's on the,
Oh man, I wrote it down. I don't
The
recall.
20th?
Think that's
yeah, 20th at 8:30 in the morning.
in the 8:30. Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to get filed this Wednesday by noon to get on the agenda.
Okay.
Yep.
So we've got a first and a second. I'll go ahead and call it to vote. Mr. Barrett,
Aye.
Ms. Dennis,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Warner,
Aye.
and I vote yes as well. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Next up, we've got the approval of supplement 1 Butler Fair.
We have one more request for property, use of property.
8.
Yeah, number 8.
Oh,
Can I do it? Or- Yeah, you-
I apologize.
Oh,
Go
you're
ahead.
fine,
I
you're fine.
skipped over it.
You're fine. We have in attendance tonight, Mr. Braylon Harvey and Tony. I don't remember the last name. Connolly. I'm sorry. I apologize. You may recall they came before us last month and presented on the Kidpreneur event. I actually attended the last Kidpreneur event. It was very successful and a lot of people down there. I think it's a good event. They are requesting, that's this sheet right here that you see in here. They're basically back before us to request the use of the property for come on down. And I'm sorry, I don't want to take all this from you. Yeah. For First Friday. Sorry, I had a moment there. Just introduce yourselves, name, address, and then just
Breland Hervey, 1705 Springland Avenue, Michigan City, Indiana.
Antonio Conley, 362 Southwood Drive, Michigan City, Indiana.
tell us a little bit about the Kidpreneur, just to refresh, because we do have a new member tonight.
Okay. Well, the Kidpreneur event is an event where we take kids ages 6 to 16 years old and try to teach them how to be entrepreneurs and how to run their own businesses. So we asked to use the 7th Street lot where they can do like pop-up shops and learn how to sell their items to customers and stuff like that.
And tonight you want to, we're looking at the first Fridays going through August, correct?
Yes.
Is that is there any other first Fridays after that that you're interested in?
I think it's July, August, and September on that those sheets so far.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because after that, it started getting cold.
Okay.
So
Fair enough.
we got to figure something out after that.
And just wanted to verify that you did receive the updated insurance.
Okay.
So you had the first event, it went well, and you want to do it again.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I do have a question. So for August, the August one with the boat race, do we have anything special going on that weekend? Because we had the taste before and we had things set up on those lots. So can we confirm? Can we approve it, but confirm?
That's good. That is a good point. And it's that first weekend, right? Yeah. Mayor, I see the mayor here. Are you aware of anything? Is Terry, I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot, Mayor. Have you had any I guess I would need to check with Terry. I'll just check with Terry Greetham. I'm sorry, Mayor, not put you on the spot.
That
check
would
Terry
be the
Greetham.
only thing we need to
Fair
check to
enough.
make sure,
Fair enough.
because nothing's come before us, I don't think,
No.
about the taste and it wouldn't though. But yes,
Well, it would.
Yeah. Yeah. Typically they use that south lot a lot. I can't remember what was on. There was something on the north lot too.
It was,
Was it
sorry,
he had
D had the block party on that lot. She had spoke to us at, I think maybe the first event that we had. We haven't heard anything since then.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
He kind of wanted to work together and figure something out.
Okay.
Can we approve this June, July, and then approve the August later after we find out.
In September, can we go ahead and do September?
Yeah,
That way they don't have to come back for,
Yeah.
yeah.
that'd be fair enough for you guys.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
fair. That's fair.
I have a
That-
question. How many kids participated in your event and what kinds of shops did they have?
But the last event, we had almost 40 kids at the last one. Some kids, some new kids had brought they were selling like flowers. They had like sunflowers, real sunflowers. They had bird feeders that they had created. Some kids had apparel. They had like tea,
Barbecue sauces.
Yeah,
lemonades.
they had quite a few different items. They were selling bracelets,
T-shirt.
all type of different stuff they were selling.
Popcorn,
Candy.
cotton candy, and some we're doing as well too.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion?
I move that we approve June, July, and September for the Kidpreneur pop-up shops at our 7th and Franklin lots.
I second the motion.
Pending, you got the insurance already, so we're good.
yeah, the June one's already had,
Yeah.
they would just need to go.
Oh, my bad.
So the next step, and we've talked about this,
Yeah,
is just
man.
going to the Board of Works and getting that done, but you already have your insurance, so they're gonna ask for the same.
Okay.
Pretty easy.
I got a question. How do we go about getting porta potties? I know last event, Static Attic was nice to let us use their bathroom, so.
It's something that we don't provide as the city.
Mhm.
You would just provide and then probably show us where exactly they're gonna go on like a site plan.
Okay.
That's typically how the other events go.
Okay.
Just show us where they're gonna go. Not, please don't put it in front of someone's door, obviously there's.
Get a sponsor for it too.
Yeah, you can probably find someone to sponsor it.
Yeah, we can.
And speaking of sponsors, well, actually donations rather, a lot of businesses and local people in the city have reached out and they've donated. I know Harley Davidson shop matched the donation with 2 pop-up tents for the children. And then I believe it was it Arnett?
Arnett.
Yeah, Arnett.
Yeah, Arnett sponsors a lot.
They brought out definitely, I think they fed the children. They've brought drinks, I think, for the rest of the year for them. And also they provided us with garbage cans as well too, so that we can do cleanup on the property.
Yeah, thanks to those local businesses. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, great initiative. Glad that you're bringing the kids out and things are going really well. Sounds like we've got a first and a second. I'll go ahead and bring the motion to a vote here. Mr. Barrett,
Aye.
Ms. Dennis,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson Deitch,
Hi,
Mr. Warner,
Aye.
and I vote yes as well. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Okay, next up. Approval of the supplement 1 Butler Fairman Sufert. May be pronouncing that wrong, for Washington Park Boulevard project. Skylar.
So this is a supplement 1, and I see Jake in the back. Thank you, Jake, for coming. Basically what we're doing with this, we have, Jake, I may need your help on the dates. You can jump to that mic or this mic. So as you may know, we're working on the Washington Park Boulevard project, where we're trying to basically do a complete street. We have some money through NERPC. We've won some grant money through them. It's programmed over a 5-year period. So we're working through that. But basically what we hired Butler, Fairman, and Seifert to do was to basically create the design documents for that, and then to help us go to bid, things of that nature, basically just help us get the thing going. At this point, we had to move the project out of we had to move our letting date out further. So what this supplement is doing is moving that letting date. It's not an amendment to really contract. It's just moving out the letting date of that project to align better with the NERPC funding. Did I correctly do that? But could you remind me when the original letting date was?
Yes, I believe the original letting date was in, let's see, would have been December of 2024. So to Skylar's point there, the project was a little short on funds to begin with. So when we were able to figure out the engineer's estimate based on some more substantial design, once we were selected, we pursued additional funding through NERC this fall and winter. City was successful in obtaining those funds, but along with it came the need to move the project out to the next fiscal year in order to obtain those funds. So what this supplemental agreement does is it simply adjusts the contract dates in our contract and the things that we were supposed to do by a given date in order to reflect those dates as required by NDOT for the letting that is now in October of 2025.
That's it. That's essentially what we're approving, is just moving out the letting date to basically correspond with the funding from NERC.
Any further discussion? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I so move.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
Go ahead and call the vote here. Mr. Barrett,
Aye.
Ms. Dennis,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Warner.
I abstain as this is an NDOT funded project.
Point.
And I vote yes. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next
Thank you,
up,
Jake.
we've got an approval for the appropriation for installation of water line and sanitary sewer at 1215 East Second Street. Skylar.
Do you want me to start off, Alan? Or do you want to? Steve, come on down. You can start off and then I'll finish up.
I think last Friday, I sent you all an email along with a letter under date of June 6, 2023 from Tenant Blank. But I sent you the email, basically try to keep this simple, but the Burnham Brewery project is something that we have approved. It has been, if Steve didn't have so much hair, he'd be as bald as well, nobody really here, but he certainly would have a receding hairline. And a lot of the delays in this project have been, mostly related to funding and their loan, all of which has been beyond their control. We have previously provided the building by agreement. We have previously purchased property that they will use in their actual brewing, in which they are buying back from us pursuant to agreement. And in our original economic development agreement, the city had committed to roughly $8,900 in improving the water utility into the building. All of that was fine and dandy, but like a lot of other things on this project, when they actually go to start doing, when Burnham and the city actually start doing the water utility hookup, we discover something that was unanticipated. And with an 80-year-old building, it's probably not as unanticipated as it could have been.
Yeah.
But basically, and you can explain it more in details, but my understanding is that we were originally looking at going onto this project or going into the building by way of Highway 12, or do I have that backwards? And then, or is it F Street, which was?
So the water originally comes in on 12 as well as the sewer. So all the plans have been drawn accordingly. And then, when we went to apply for the sanitary permit and the water line permit, was made aware that they wanted water to come in off of F Street because the larger main is off F Street. There's only an old barely used 1.5 inch main down 12 right now is what we were told.
And it also was not connected anywhere either, because the building had not been used for anything other than storage for the past
The sewer.
Yeah.
decade or so. So So so
Was both the sewer and the
in
water.
checking everything with, tenant blank, and we're checking everything with our water department and our sewage department, all of these are unforeseen circumstances. All of these are legitimate expenditures. And I guess most importantly, we're talking about a $3 million project of opening a brewery and a tap room, but for a highly successful business throughout the state of Indiana, but particularly for this particular area. We know Burnham has an excellent reputation, both again in the city and also statewide. So really this comes down to is an ask of an additional $52,481 to basically cover this unforeseen circumstances for a $3 million project, with all the approvals that have been given already up to this point. And I think the final thing would be, assuming there are no more, and that may be a bad assumption to make, but assuming there are no more surprises.
Yeah, we've gotten through demo and the whole building is completely gutted. So it's
right. They have
everything's pretty much shown at this point.
They have advanced everything. They have certainly worked diligently on completing this project. And then once again, we have a new unforeseen circumstances that prevents them going any further. So the request is for $52,481 so as to be able to connect them up with a functioning water and sewage system that is going to be required for their operations. The alternative would be for Burnham to continue to not do any further work on the building, go back to their bank, their lender, and begin that entire process again. And as you remember, that is when we did this before. When we originally signed the economic development agreement, we thought we'd be up and running by the spring of 2022. And here we are in the spring, almost the end of spring of 2023, and we're still not anywhere as close. But again, that was all due to the funding and the various kinds of headaches created by the lender. Finally, and you can speak to this too. I think my understanding is that by agreeing with this, allowing you to go forth with continuing construction, we were looking at actual operations, construction being completed sometime in November, actual operations are internally for the brewery part being done by hopefully sometime January, February of next year.
Yeah, we'd probably be moving in to start brewing in around January and then getting the tap room up and running right around February. Yeah, taking time to train staff. And
so that's the ask. And that's, again, I feel so bad for you guys, but it's just, we keep hitting one thing after another, and
you're gonna find that in that 80-year-old building. And
yeah.
With all the other changes we found during demo, we ran into asbestos, all this stuff, and we were well over, actually quite like 154,000 over budget, and with doing some cuts to new kitchen equipment, tap equipment that we're just going to bring over from the current spot to keep everything running and help the bank with. Contingent on this being approved today, then I've already talked with the bank and they're ready to just approve the remainder so I can give Ton & Blank the okay to start working again.
Keep in mind also, when we first started this venture back in 2020, I believe, the project cost was estimated under 1.6. So.
And after COVID and everything jumped.
Yeah, between the natural things that occurred from COVID and inflation, and supply shortages, but these guys have continued to work diligently to the point of where we've now taken a $1.6 million project and changed it into a $3 million project, which again benefits the city. Skylar and I have talked about this, and you can speak more on this, but from the viewpoint of you're already getting requests for permits in that area for other types of building, including home construction. So clearly it will serve its purpose ultimately.
Yeah, I think you're already seeing new investment come down the corridor there, and you'll see more in the future. Definitely.
Have we talked about a loan versus just
we can't loan.
we can't do anything?
And we've explored that opportunity like we did with the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
However, on this, it's not like it's equipment. It's a utility that's going to end up being owned by the city anyway. So it's not something we can put on them as a loan because we don't have the statutory authority to making a loan. And secondly, like we did last time in terms of purchasing something, There's nothing here to purchase for us, for our viewpoint.
Mr. Murray, thanks for being here today. So just so that I apologize if I'm just kind of late on some of this information, but I know that you're basically halfway through the project.
Oh, we got through demo in the first 2 months, and then we haven't been able to acquire the building permit yet because of this. So
Okay, so basically there was no connection to the sewer, and the cost is exceeding that original estimate to tap in,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Any further questions or comments? Be able to open?
I do have a comment. And we've talked about this. You've been before us quite a bit. You're gonna owe the community a lot of give backs.
that's the goal.
A lot of everything, because I mean, it's been continuous, over and over again. And I think many of us have heartburn over this one because of that. And I knew that the work had stopped. I didn't know we were waiting on the permit per se, that they needed this before we could do anything else.
To my knowledge, the permit is signed and
Yeah, it's signed. It's
just ready to go.
It's just they can't put in drains if there is no drain, essentially. But they do have a demo permit. Yeah.
All right.
And that's completed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I move that we approve the additional cost for the sewage and the water system for the Burnham Brewery project. I believe that this is going to be a big asset to the community, particularly looking at Skylar's comments about additional permits being pulled for development in that area and new building. And I think we would be reticent to pass up this opportunity to get this project going.
Got a motion? Can we get a second?
Formally, Kathy, if you could include within your motion to approve the request for the $52,481.
Yes, I approve.
I will second the motion.
Go ahead and call it to vote. Mr. Barrett,
Aye.
Ms. Dennis,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Warner,
Aye.
and I vote yes. Motion carries.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Next up, we've got the approval of trench interceptor work for Trail Creek cleanup.
I'm going to hand this off to Alan. You've been most involved in it, and just kind of give us a rundown on what we're doing project.
As you recall from what we did last month, August Mack, who was our consultant and overseer of the entire Trail Creek cleanup, contamination cleanup, which is a project I think we started probably back in, well, the actual litigation I think was actually filed in 2015, and we've continued to work continuously, reach the settlement amount. We've completed 8 quarters of testing, so we have, and the plume has been identified and delineated and is not moving, other than it continues to move in a northerly direction into Trail Creek. We originally received and have received to date $1,570,699.05 from the primary principal polluters down there in that site. We still have one more polluter, identified polluter, and we have a judgment. It's just working on trying to collect that judgment for additional costs on that. At this point in time, we have, from that original 1.5 million plus, we have a balance of $80,627.35. And that covers everything that they had included in their 2023 budget which was originally sent on April 7th and which we discussed last month. The last part at my request, and you agreed to, was to hold off on the trench interceptor part. And because there were some things in there that I had not recalled and certainly want to discuss further with August Mack, our counsel, Todd Relu, in terms of how this, where we ended up going from what the original budget was. And so now we're down to that point of the trench interceptor, and where we got a little crossways on that was Michael Cuss when he was in charge of the sanitary district. If you knew Michael, you knew he was the possessive type, to say it mildly. And so when we first talked to Michael during the course of actual settlement conferences, Michael said he would do the whole thing in terms of design, in terms of installation, and in terms and administrative oversight on installation of the trench interceptor. Obviously there would have been a price tag for the redevelopment commission to the sanitation district for that, but then when Michael left employment, left the city of Michigan City, that then put us back to where we have now, and the current staff is not, I want to say they're not willing, I just don't think they feel like they have the same expertise that Mr. Cuss had in terms of being able to pull this off. August Mack obviously does have the experts in it. They do have the wherewithal of doing that. So the ask tonight then is for the second part of what their original 2023 budget was, and that is basically approval of up to, not to exceed $900,000 for the design, management, and actual purchase of the equipment for the trench interceptor. This will occur on the corner of 8th Street and Michigan Boulevard on the south side of that street. And basically what it's designed to do is, as I mentioned before, that the plume and the contaminants migrate northerly, and rather than continue to go onto that, continue to go northerly either into Trail Creek, which it has not yet reached, but rather than continue to go for contaminating the site, which we're looking at as a development site, to the property we own across the street on that. This will stop that from occurring and will then be flushed through the sanitary district, and then ultimately, hopefully clean up that entire site, although we will all be, well, I'm already old and gray, and then so we'll all be way past old and gray before that ever happens, given the speed in which the plume is migrating. But most importantly, what this trench interceptor does is that it blocks any further contaminants from going further north, and that area which we have talked with developers before about a development there, which they are now at a point of where they're real close to doing. This will make that development marketable. And the most important key on that, well, I guess that is the most important key, but before it gets to the point of being able to be marketable for a development area, we need to get sign off from IT. This will be the final piece that's there for IDEM to sign off and close this. And suddenly our whole Trail Creek property is no longer an IDEM contamination site, but in fact is a prime choice of real estate for development, both from a, probably not from residential, because we're still going to have those covenants in there, but certainly from a development viewpoint across the street, as it relates to both mixed use and residential. So that's what the ask is for tonight. And you'll note from that budget, the 400,000 to 900,000, that's a $500,000 guess as to how much this thing is going to cost. And really the folks at August Mack say they have heard quotes for somewhere around 400. They've heard quotes right around 900,000. So hence the reason for the broad ask. But the request tonight would be to approve their budget for not to exceed $900,000 for the purposes of installing, designing, installing, and purchasing the trench interceptor.
Thank you. Just a quick question. I understand the scope of the work here and what they're looking to accomplish for us. I assume at this point, item will provide a comfort letter of some sort upon completion.
And again, that comfort letter is undoubtedly going to include some kind of environmental covenant restriction. We know if you look at those 4 parcels that are across the street on 8th Street, which is where we're looking at development, we know the furthest west one is completely clean, never was contaminated. We know the properties and the parcels on the furthest east have been contaminated. So the thought is being from, as we've talked to the developer, obviously on the west side is where the structure is going to go, and the east side will be a parking lot. And that will not impact, and that will be consistent with the covenant, restrictive covenant. So it works out. We got lucky on that viewpoint. There's no question about it.
Chair, I do
Yes.
have so when you first talked about the amount, Alan, you said that the sanitary district, they were going to take care of some of that cost.
Not take care of the cost, take care of the actual implementation of it.
Oh, just they were going to oversee it. So there wouldn't have been a cost.
There would have been a cost, but there would not have been this the higher amount of cost as it relates for the administrative oversight and the actual design.
Okay.
Again, I mean, when Michael was an expert in that area, Michael knew this area really well. And Michael, as I said before, and I mean this with the greatest degree of respect and admiration, as he was just a very possessive person. And he considered that to be his baby, and anything that went in there was going to get his stamp of approval. So,
Well, they were also going to treat, the water still going to be treated.
that's correct.
The water, once it goes into the trench interceptor, it will be sent to our sanitary district where it will be treated before it's released back. So we've confirmed that they do have, it will be treated just like any other stormwater essentially, and then it can be released back. So it made sense.
But the trench interceptor is different, is what separates it from any other kind of water that's passing through there or fluid that passes through there. So
This is all a gravity system, or a pump will be at the trench interceptor? Gravity. Okay. That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Hopefully.
yeah, if it all works well.
Any further discussion?
Oh, I move. You said up to $900,000. Yeah. So I move that we approve up to not to exceed $900,000 for our approval of the trench interceptor work for our Trail Creek cleanup.
Got a motion?
And one specific thing, is it specifically for August Max or just?
Yes. So August Mac will serve as our contractor, and then we'll install it all. And this will include their ability to, well, we'll still purchase it, but we'll reimburse them for them.
Yeah, for August Max.
I will second that motion.
Okay, go ahead and bring this to a vote here. Mr. Barrett?
Aye.
Ms. Dennis?
Aye.
Ms. Nelson Deutsch?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion carries.
Just one last thing, obviously, assuming we are successful at some point of being able to collect on the judgment and unspecified judgment that has already been awarded by the court to one last polluter, obviously that will come back to the Redevelopment Commission and offset some of this further as well. And their judgment could well be $900,000. So.
Thank you. Up next, we've got the South TIF Connectivity Improvement Project with update and approvals.
Tonight we have Assistant Planning Director Ms. Sylvia Collins. We have an addendum to the contract. Sylvia, I'll hand it off to you. And I think Brian is online as well.
So we have the professional service agreement, and for the South TIF District, there has been some updates and some more incurred on pricing and things of that nature. So I would like to let them take over so they can kind of give you a breakdown of the 5 different sections.
Sylvia, I think what you're asking for is for me to go through the proposal briefly and describe the request for additional compensation for services. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So as Sylvia mentioned, we completed preliminary design. I think it was around the end of last year, and got approval from you guys on a tentative basis to move forward with detailed design that will get the project ready to be bid. And we have since developed this proposal, which you have today for your consideration. And the proposal will cover services to complete all the detailed design that's necessary to, as I said, to get the project ready to be bid. So it'll be preparation of construction documents, plans, specifications, and so forth. It'll also include services necessary to complete the permitting for this project, which is considerable, especially for the Town Center Drive extended area. And we're requesting $247,000 and $500,000 plus additional hourly services for that work. And we also have an increase of sub-consultant allowances of $27,500, and that's to cover the United States Army Corps of Engineers and IDEM permitting applications that will be submitted to allow for the construction of Town Center Drive Extended, but also other project components. And as you mentioned, Sylvia, I'll just touch on the 5 different areas that are included in this project, one of which is Town Center Drive itself, from Meyer Drive to the north down to out in front of Menards, where Town Center Drive currently terminates. The second component is Town Center Drive Extended, which is an extension of that Town Center Drive Road south further to Walmart's private driveway, through an existing wetland and an existing Army Corps deed restricted parcel of land. Another section is the extension of Larkspur Lane eastward, such that it can connect into Tim Road and Meyer Drive, just directly behind Meyer. Another component is new sidewalks along Meyer Drive from Town Center Drive over to the east, where it would connect into the 5th and final section of this, which is Ameriplex Drive Extended, which will come from the north and connect into Meyer Drive, sort of at the northeast corner of Meyer Drive, where it takes a right angle. So I think that kind of gives you the overview, but I can answer any questions that you may have as well.
Thank you. I wanted him to go through that because we do have a new president. I wanted to give you a better visual of what this project entails without having to go through the whole project in entirety. So if you have any questions for him, he's available to answer.
Brian, thank you for walking us through that. Definitely think it's very important to connect those 2 areas. For future development, we've got to find a way to, I would say, pull some traffic off of that particular area and connect everything. It's disjointed right now. So thank you.
Could I just add in one thing, Ryan? The 240, 270, what was it again? To remind me what it was.
27.
247.
Yeah.
That is, so we met a couple, maybe, God remind me, Ryan, a couple months ago, we reviewed all the preliminary tracings, kind of laid out to make sure we had enough right of way, that we thought we had enough right of way before we started moving forward with kind of design. Design was not a part of the original contract. Now we're at the stage where we're ready to really design this thing and these extensions. And then another large portion of this is really dealing with Army Corps of Engineers and IDEM to get through their processes of wetland mitigation and deciding how do we want to mitigate? Do we want to set aside land? Do we want to pay into a wetland fund? How do we want to do that? What are the benefits? What are the cost analysis with that? So that's another piece of this. Sorry, I wanted to make sure we got that out there, and that's what the sub consultant helps us with, but as well as yourself and those, I guess, hourly numbers are. It could be we're at the mercy of kind of IDEM and Army Corps of Engineers at that
They're
point.
subjective.
So yeah.
What's the total cost? I mean, you mentioned a couple of different things.
$2,775. So it is, I think I'm getting it right. You have 247,500, but then you also have 27,500.
Yes, that's so for a total cost of. Well, Ryan, can you go down I left my cheat sheet upstairs. So I'm sorry.
I think I got it. It's 275.
275.
I'm pretty okay with math. I know I just did it right now, but
Is that all though, Ryan? I thought we spoke about something else, or am I mistaken?
There is the $247,500 in detailed design services plus the hourly services, which we noted on there and you alluded to. And then in addition, there's also the sub-consultant allowance increase, which Sylvia mentioned, the 27,500. And those are that's the extent of this amendment number 4.
and just for verification, it's kind of impossible to calculate a number for the hourly. So it's kind of subjective. It depends. It can be more hours, it can be less hours, and throwing a number out there wouldn't be conducive for a total right now.
So right now our hourly, because we're dealing with IDEM and we're dealing with Army Corps Engineers, we're not sure what the hourly is going to be because really it's in consultation with them and then working through the pathway that we may choose. So say we decide to set aside a piece of land, then we maybe have to work with Shirley Hines at that point in time to ask them to take it. I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not saying we're going to do that, but we don't know what path we're going to take yet. So the hourly, we don't know what the hours are right now.
And it's also inclusive of the property owners and the conversations that have to be had with them. And keep in mind, they're individuals, and it can be 3 weeks for one and 3 months for the next year. So we just we have to take it day by day to determine what it is that hourly would be. So maybe it's just it's kind of impossible for us to calculate it, basically.
Ryan, is there anything else you can share about the hourly, or did we kind of, did I misspeak?
No, I think you generally covered it. I mean, generally speaking, this is not directly our design work that we do on a daily basis that we can estimate very clearly. This is more about coordinating with other third parties, of which we don't really have any control over. So as you alluded to, the regulators at the Army Corps, regulators at IDEM, dealing with DLZ Corporation and other landowners, which you guys are engaging in ongoing conversations with them regarding conveyancing of land. There are some other things on here that I can touch on, coordination with NIPSCO regarding, lighting, coordination of some additional geotechnical investigations in a wetland without having a permit, and things of that nature. So again, things we don't, if we could put an estimate to it, we would, but it's too much out of our control to really put a precise number on it. So
Too much gray area, what I like to call it.
I understand that, but you can't, the commission just can't approve an hourly figure. I mean, Ryan, just throw a number out there, and if it ends up being too high, then we know we're not going to reach it. If we need to come back and do a second time because it's not high enough, then we won't have the State Board of Accounts crawling all over us for an improper expenditure. So
Yeah.
I don't think the commission can approve an hourly as services. It has to approve. Just throw a number out, Ryan, and then we include that in there as part of the original or as part of the 275,000 plus whatever amount you want to throw there. At least we know what it's for. And it's just, but I don't think, that you're just going to have to keep coming back. So.
I mean, that's typically what we do with kind of other contractual services. We say not to exceed 20, 30, 40, whatever the number is. We start getting down to like $2,500. It's like, okay, we need to come back and request another 20,000 or whatever it is. I don't know if that makes sense. Ryan, do you have a?
And again, the foundation has been established that when they come back a second time, if it's not enough, or if we have an overkill, I think the discussion tonight has certainly identified or provided a necessary foundation as to what this is for and the impossibility of trying to determine amount. So really, Ryan, I think we're just relying on you for a best guess amount. And if that ends up being too high or too low, we can adjust it accordingly in the future. But at least that way, the commission is approving a dollar amount.
Yep. Yeah, Brian, what's your worst case scenario? 10% more, 20% more? I mean, I think, like you said, we need to have a number. And if it has to go beyond that, we can look at it again.
Brian, you have any?
I don't have an estimate for you, which is why they're hourly services. But if you want to arbitrarily say that it's 10% of what our fixed fee is, then that would give you a number.
$7.5.
It's even 300.
Yeah, we're not picking anything.
Right.
So 302,500. So we're talking about 302,500. That's 10% of the addendum request. Ryan, is that? And then if we go over that number, you come back with another. We'll just re-up it.
Sure.
Does that sound okay for now to get us started?
It sounds like what must occur.
Yes. Yeah. I don't disagree. I understand your point, your position, but I think our position is we got to have something to approve, and that makes sense to me. And then, like we do with other contracts, we get to the end, you start getting down to, hey, I don't know that we're going to be able to pay for this because we only have $1,000 left. You just make sure we come back here and maybe by then we'll have a good estimate of what's left to do. We might start knowing like how much time we're spending, if you will.
Certainly. And that 10% is specifically tied then to the hourly services noted on the agreement, not the other items, which we did quantify,
Yes.
our fees. So.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I think maybe we could approve this number and then pending maybe some language to that extent, and Alan could review it for us to make sure that it's correct. Would that make sense?
Yeah. And Ryan, I sympathize with what you're saying, because when you start dealing with state agencies, everything is out of your control. And we're saying the same thing in terms of why we need to have a dollar amount, because it's out of our control to do something more general and ominous than that. I think if I'm doing the math correctly, the total request on tonight is for 302,500, of which 27.5 is that for the hourly services, not to exceed that. And then as you get short on that, just come back at a later date and we go from there. And then if it's all right with you, I will just draft a quick addendum to that addendum for inclusion within your addendum for that 27.5. And then we know it's completely delineated out.
Okay.
Thank you.
What you'd be doing then is if you're inclined, then you'd be approving this addendum for an amount of 302, whatever I said before, 302,500, subject to the creation of an additional addendum specifically addressing the hourly expenditures.
Go ahead and entertain a motion.
Motion to approve moving forward with this proposal for 247,500 design, 27,500 of fixed costs, and an additional 10% of 27,500 hourly for investigations with IDEM Corps of Engineers for a total amount not to exceed $302,500.
Wow.
That was perfect.
That was.
Second.
All right. Go ahead and bring this to vote. Mr. Barrett,
Aye.
Ms. Dennis,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Warner,
Aye.
and I approve as well. Motion carries.
Mr. President, may I ask one more question?
Yes.
Hey, Ryan, while I got you on the horn here, could you do you have any updates on when our next phase, or Alan, maybe when our sidewalks are going to be completed, the CC1? Do we have any?
We're done with that. Well, they just need to, we're waiting on Reed Filey to start.
Oh, okay. So we're good.
We don't have anything else. We're done.
No, we're done with our process.
You give notice to proceed. That's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
Yep, I think last I was out there's some stakes in the ground, probably delineating the right of way and probably some preliminary stakeout if I had to guess, but yeah, it looks like it's coming along pretty soon.
Yeah, all the easements are done and recorded, so we're good.
And then that's a really exciting project. Thank you for the update on that. It's going to be nice having actually a crosswalk at the intersection there, 421 and Larkspur. That's going to be nice. So thank you, Ryan.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we've got the 8th Michigan Boulevard TRG project.
I'm asking tonight that we table this, or actually not table it. Just hold off on it. Should I ask for tabling till long yet? Yeah, could we table this for our next meeting? They were unable to come tonight because of an emergency, last minute emergency. And I'd just like to hear from them before we consider anything. So that's okay. Do we need to vote on that, or vote?
I move the table to our next meeting.
I second.
Mr. Barron.
Aye.
Ms. Dennis.
Aye.
Ms. Nelson Deitch.
Aye.
Mr. Warner.
Aye.
And I approve as well.
And just as an editorial note, this is the development that will benefit from the trench interceptor.
Yes.
So
Next up, we've got the station block update and approvals.
Tonight we have no approvals for an update. Right now, we are starting our portion of the funding mechanism, or of the capital stack that's involved in the development of the station block. We will start beginning construction on the garage and the actual station itself mid-July, 1st of August. Things are getting in order for that. Flaherty and Collins is located in an office space in downtown that they will be occupying for the next 2 years. Their next phase for us is to begin our bonding process. Currently, right now, I'm looking at setting up a public workshop to bring in our bonding consultants to meet with council and Redevelopment Commission. What else do I need to say tonight about that? Alan, am I forgetting anything of?
well, just to give an explanation as to why this appears to be taking so long.
Yeah.
Because it is taking so long. We are dealing with a different way, a different manner in which we are proceeding with the bonding project this time than we've done on the past ones, for the sole purpose that we can get a lower interest rate. And we can, well, and obviously when we're talking about this amount of money, the more we can save, the better we're going to be. But it also is a little bit different from what we've done before too, because we need to create an economic development commission. And by ordinance from 1974, I think is where that was from, the Economic Development Commission is formed 3 members. One is a mayor's choice, one is the city council's choice, and one is the county council's choice. And all those entities have been advised. I think they've identified their person when it's now going to go through the formal process of doing that. Unfortunately, the county council does not meet again until the end of June. So, and because the requirement on the statute is we need to go through the EDC before we can go to the city council. We also need to go through a building corporation before we can go to the city council. So that's, we're getting there. It's just that's why it's taking so long to do that.
That's really it right now. We're just trying to get the EDC established, and then just kind of lay out the pathway forward from a calendar standpoint. I will be working tomorrow to set up our public workshops with the council and Redevelopment Commission, and then from there we will be starting the process.
Great, thank you.
No, just an update.
Next up, we've got the You Are Beautiful site update and any approvals.
We'll turn it off. We have no approvals tonight. An update would be that we think we're going to get our, we should have our letter of tax credits in July. That's typically when the letters come out. From what I'm told from the developers, that we have received a favorable nod to receive tax credits over, I think, a 3 to 4 year period for this project, and that we that once we have that letter in hand, they should be able to monetize that letter and put it to work for them from a financial standpoint, banking standpoint. That's really it right now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we've got the approval authorization to send out TIF pass-through letters.
So this is something we do annually. We need to send out our TIF pass-through letters. This goes out to all of the goes out to anyone who gets a millage or a tax off of any taxes that we pay. It just lets them know what we're doing with TIF, and just it's required by law for us to send it out. It goes to the school system as well. So it's just, like I said, we have to do this every year. So, and it's for, we do it for all of our, each one of our TIFs gets a letter basically that goes to the pass-through organizations. Yes. Yeah. No access. Yes. Essentially.
It's like, do we need to vote on that
Yes,
one?
we need to
All
vote
right.
on that one.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve.
Move we approve the TIF pass-through letters as presented.
I second.
Mr. Barrett?
Aye.
Ms. Dennis?
Aye.
Ms. Nelson Deitch?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
And I vote yes as well. Motion carries. Next up, Mr. Sirnick, and report by legal counsel, please.
The only thing on top of everything else I said tonight is that the commission met in executive session immediately preceding this meeting. No items were discussed in conflict with the open door law, and no decisions were made.
Got a director's report?
Yes. So tonight I have a couple of things that we do need, that I would like to see we could take some action on. One was just in moving forward with the more and more we move forward with Flaherty and Collins, we're establishing the office space downtown. They're basically establishing the mode of transportation for delivery of the station, or I'm sorry, of the tilt-up concrete, which will be the precast concrete. And as part of that kind of mobilization, right now they're asking us for approval. Basically, I would like to ask for approval for Allen to work with them on a lease/use agreement for the old Chrysler building to be approved by us I mean, we don't need to approve it tonight, but we need to approve it in probably the next meeting, in order for them to kind of get an idea of what, they got to use there. Keep in mind the historic terracotta is in there as well. It's been restored and it's been organized, packaged, and basically organized in there for their use on the new station, on the new transit station. So they're going to have it anyways, is my point. And then basically they will also be staging at that location some of the delivery trucks and things of that nature for the station itself. So that's what we need to do. NICD has given me the keys to the building. They're completely done with it. So that they don't really, their contractors are out of there as well as NICD's out of there. So it's open for us to negotiate with Flaherty and Collins. Do we need to take any action on that tonight? We're just good, just kind of notification. Okay. The only other thing I have on here is I would like to work with a consultant. As you know, Ms. Ruth Warma has pretty much kind of retired as of right now. She's let me know that she's not taking on anything more. I think there's some things going on in her life that she needs to focus on right now. As you may recall, she helped us put together a really nice RFP and kind of really streamlined our process for RFPs from a development standpoint, which I think has been very successful in us getting quality development and quality developers. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to negotiate a scope of work with a consultant. His name's AJ Bittner. I think he's highly qualified. He's been a planner in the state for nearly 8-10 years now. He's worked for the Gary Redevelopment Commission. He's worked for other redevelopment commission. He's very knowledgeable of rules and guidelines and state legislation with respect to redevelopment commissions. I'd like to try to get a scope of work with him so he can help me maybe draft some RFPs in the near future. One RFP in general that I think we really should look at putting out is the old Memorial Hospital site and really getting a kind of a master development for that. As you know, we kind of not been focused on that because we've been focused on our Station Block and our You Are Beautiful, which are two massive projects. But I think it puts us in a better position to go for RFP for the Memorial lots at this time. And we didn't own all the lots. Now we do. So we're in a much better position than we've ever been with that. So I think this would be an opportune time for him to help us out, maybe 10 to 15 hours a week or something like that, a weekly schedule, hourly schedule. But I think there's some other things too from a organizational standpoint he could help us out with, maybe even work with Alan on some things, maybe help write some things, draft some things for review. I think there's some opportunity there for him to help us. He knows a little bit more about the state law than Ruth did, just because he's worked in the state. So there's some opportunity there, and he's ran a redevelopment commission. So then I would like to work on that scope and then bring that back to you guys for approval. Do I need formal action on that, or can I just do that? Good. Okay.
Thank you. Next up, we've got public comments. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Rodney McCormick, 617 Union Street, Michigan City. This board is governed by the open door, and sadly, you don't have agendas out. Putting them online does not meet the compliance of the open door law. Yeah, wherever you have the meeting, the agendas must be there for the public to pick up. That's one of your violations. Contrary to what you guys may believe, none of us in Canada, which is the people that's left on F Street, Peru, Emily, Miller, Union Street, I'm leaving out Cook Street. None of us are in agreements with that brewery coming to our neighborhood. None of us. I speak for every one of them. We had meetings, we went to doors, we spoke. We don't like it. I find it amazing how some of you guys are set on this board with your nose up, thinking that you know what's best for us. If Zorn Brewery, if Burnham Brewery is such a great thing, put it in your neighborhood. When all this brewery starts, we're gonna have to listen to the loud music, tents popping up. And what about us? What about us as residents? What recourse do we have? Call the police every night when the music's too loud? One thing I've seen this city do is when Black people had a place to go to, we call them taverns, BMW, Pony Lounge, Rich Man, Poor Man, whatever the club or whatever after hour place we wanted to go to, our city shut every one of those buildings down. But then you guys, this new generation, you guys do the same thing, but now y'all just call it breweries. And we have to tolerate the loud music. I already have to listen to Zorn Brewery. The music is loud enough to where I'm hearing it at my house. It gets on my nerve. I've called the police. So have several of my other neighbors. Now we have it right out our back door, 300 feet from my house. I don't like it. Have any of y'all ever thought about how we feel in the neighborhood about what's going on? Such a great idea, huh? And then I sit and watch you guys cater to Burnham Brewery. You mean to tell me they couldn't come up with $50,000? Then y'all say it's a $3 million project. Seemed like you could have just built a whole building, built a whole brewery somewhere else for $3 million. Nobody, I mean, y'all give them everything they want. I live over there. I live in the TIF district. When is it going to benefit me? When I'm going to see some of the money in my playground, the neighborhood that I live in. How about new streets? How about a new Union Street? Better yet, how about you buy us out who don't want to live there no more because of this brewery and because of the city failure to improve our infrastructure over there for years. Highway 12, 2 weeks ago, the main broke over there. Water flooded the building across the street on Highway 12. Flooded it. The whole highway was flooded. The main was messed up. And then my last thing I'm just curious about is the parking lot that's adjacent to Burnham Brewery. How in the world did Zorn Brewery find out about it? And who tipped them off to buy that lot to stop them from expanding and having a parking lot on that side of the street? Because right now, the way you guys let this parking lot go on, it's right against the lady's door. So when the parking lot is there, this lady and her husband is going to have to listen to cars' doors opening and slamming all night. Did y'all think about coming to the neighborhood with all this money in the TIF district? I've been there for 25 years. Some of the other people have been there for 50, 60 years. Have y'all thought about buying us out? If nothing else, and it's not even a compromise, but it would be nice. How about some kind of barrier that will stop the noise? How about shutting down F Street? How about putting up a fence all the way across there, shut F Street completely down so nobody can drive down our street and hit one of our kids? Have y'all even thought about the safety issues when you made that decision? And last but not least, you going, you bending over backwards, you're giving them $50,000 more. Probably tomorrow it's going to be more money. It's an eyesore. They won't even cut the grass. The grass is about 4 feet high. Every lot over there, and Skylar can testify to this, every one of our yards over there in that neighborhood is cut, clean, and we take care of it. Why they can't take care of their property? That's not right. They don't have a dumpster permit, but you make landlords get dumpster permits. They only had a demo permit here recently. They only had a demo permit, but they started cutting in the pane windows already with a demo permit. They was doing reconstruction work off a demo permit. And then the main runs directly under the property that's owned by Zorn Brewery. That's why y'all doing the water line change, because the main goes directly underneath the property that belongs to Zorn, and y'all don't want to pay them. These laterals are problems all across every neighborhood that's in the TIF district. We have lateral problems all through the TIF district. Why you guys aren't doing nothing about that? So we get some brewery that comes here to entertain a certain group of people, not my people. And when I say my people, I'm talking about blacks, brown people, even their even the picture that they have, how they think it's going to look. It don't show nobody of brown skin riding a skateboard or coming to their brewery. One day, I hope this city, and probably won't be in my lifetime, but one day I hope this city consider how we feel in this community. And ask yourself, why are we being neglected and we live and we pay our taxes? Well, I'm gonna benefit from that. I like to have a pole barn. After this meeting, can y'all tell me what can the TIF do for me to help me put a pole barn up? This is crazy. I just appreciate the opportunity, Mr. President, to come before you and speak. I was just chomping at the bits back here. I'm very upset. Things are not being done right in this city. Some people are given a pass, other people are not. This is wrong. And please have them get up instead of trying to grow some beer right now and go over there and clean up their site and cut that grass. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment?
Yeah, good evening, board. City Councilman Don Prispolinski, 215 Gardena Street, and concur with hearing what Mr. Rod McCormick had to say, that if there are violations over there, they need to be corrected. They need to be corrected tomorrow. I mean, if grass is 3 feet high, and I don't know, city rule or city law is 6 inches high. Have them clean it up, okay? Let's all abide by the book and the rules that are given to the citizens. We have a inspection department. You know, if we're giving these guys money to build their brewery, then they should abide by the same rules everybody else in the town. And we all understand. We all understand, but it's just got to be enforced. Appreciate that, Mr. Schuyler, York. The main reason I'm here to speak tonight, and I'm glad I did come because I heard about Town Center Drive. Okay. I know there's a lot of other work that's going to be done in that area, but my main focus right now is at Town Center Drive in front of Lowe's, where there's 10,000, maybe 50,000 patches right now, blacktop patches. Why can't we get that part done, blacktop? Because I hear it from residents every time I go over it. It brings, bad memories to my mind. I hear it from my friends. They all say, when is this going to be corrected? When is this going to be corrected? It's going on way too long. That road's been like that, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, maybe longer. Whatever. It's been a long time. And we need to get it corrected. Now, from the board standpoint, and I don't know if Ryan is still on, probably not. But when is that portion of this whole project going to be done? We don't have to wait for all this permitting and everything else to be done before we jump on this project and we start blacktopping, because we all know that permitting, how long is permitting going to take? A year, couple years, Corps of Engineers, IDEM. Pardon?
You're talking the project that Ryan was talking about is the extension of Town Center Drive,
right,
over wetlands, stuff like that. The things you're talking about in terms of the 3 different parcels, well, actually all of Town Center Drive, but there's 3 parcels in particular where those companies, Lowe's is one,
Myers.
Is it Meyer? Yes, it's Meyer.
Myers.
And then there's
Menards. Menards.
No, we own Menards.
No, it's just there's those 2, and there's a third one. It's a smaller in that strip mall out there, and I've talked to them. But that's a different project. Once we get approval from them, actually, what I'm seeking with them is, the city or the commission, they cannot undertake corrective action, paving a new road for property that they don't own. What I'm seeking to do is, look, here's your choices, buddy. You can fix the road, or you can give the property to us, give that section of the road to us, and we'll fix it. But the idea behind it, Don, is they'll just do it all at once. So there's the permitting and the IDEM and all the stuff that Ryan was referring to before, and what the discussion is not related to that aspect of the project.
Okay.
I think we can probably get that part of the project done sometime, well, depending upon coordination of schedules and things like that, but I think we'd be ready to go forth with that during the course of this year. So I think, the problem that you're talking about of the road crumbling, really not even coming up to anywhere as close to grade, that we should be able to take care of that within, I would think, the next couple of months.
Okay, so
that aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the permitting and stuff like that. I know that's a whole different issue. I'm concerned about the blacktopping right there. And I think that's Larkspur Lane or whatever that goes out to 421.
Road is
yeah. Okay.
We're working on it.
So we can comfortably say that November the 1st, that road's going to be blacktop, and that'll be taken care of in front of Myers. No.
No. Well, I mean, we have to work with a lot of property owners. We don't know.
Okay.
I mean, we're trying to work with major corporations here to get the road in our possession, which should have been done years ago, many years ago, like 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
Well, I guess that's my point. Why is it taken?
Because no one else picked it up. We've picked it up and said, we're going to do it. And we're trying to do it. So we're the only ones who've taken it up in 10 years, 15 years.
Okay.
So that's what Mr. Cernak started. And he's pretty good at it. I have to give him props. He's pretty good at getting property in our hands. You're very successful.
Okay,
the letter that we've drafted to the businesses there basically are, you have three options. You can give us the road, you can fix the road, or what was the third? Or code enforce the road, and we'll make you.
Okay, have we gotten any responses back from like Lowe's where it's the worst spot whatsoever?
We're trying to find it. By looking for a needle in a haystack in terms of trying to find who's going to be the contact person at Lowe's. And I have not even come close to identifying anybody there. At Myers, I've gotten to the point of getting into their legal department. I've left messages. I'm still waiting to hear back. And then the third company, I just got to keep pestering. He says he's fine with it. He needs to look at it a little bit more. And then another couple of weeks go by and I'm calling him again. So, but yeah, it's just more.
So at Lowe's, we don't have a contact person yet on who's going to make the decision for Lowe's, whether they want to give that piece of property up or whether they want to take it.
And it may just end up being done. I mean, you try to do things as
diplomatic,
cooperatively as possible, particularly since what we're trying to do there. But on the other hand, it just may get to the point of where I need to file a complaint for code enforcement to get them to respond to it and then get to the point that we're looking at.
Well, Mr. Cernak, I think that's a very good option right there. Because I know waiting, I don't know how long the deadline is to wait on an answer from a major corporation in the United States of America that's got a piece of property like that, which they probably don't even are concerned about.
Yeah, they don't.
That they would respond back and say, "Hey, you can have it." I know if I owned that court or if I was on the board of directors, I'd say, take it.
Absolutely.
Fix it. It's yours. Yeah, I'm not going to spend my money. But I would just hope that the city would push a little harder and that possibly they would have a deadline that, hey, by the end of September, if we have not heard anything more from this corporation on getting this fixed, then we're going to turn it over to code enforcement. They can write whoever at Lowe's and get a response. And if they don't want to do that, then take them whatever the next legal action is.
Come to you guys.
I mean, seriously, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, how long are we going to wait? How long are we going to wait on this? A year?
No.
Because we haven't heard anything back yet from anybody. I would just want the board, maybe not do it. You don't have to do it tonight because I'm standing here in front of you asking you, but you need to have come up with a deadline. I mean, major corporations, when they do business, they have deadlines, you know, they have goals, deadlines. When we're going to, if it doesn't work, we move on to this. That's what we need to do with this. Because as number one, as a city councilman, I'm tired of hearing about it. Number two, as a city councilman, Lowe's is taking advantage of the city of Michigan City. Number three, as a city councilman, I'm tired of paying for repairs to the buses that go across that bus route because they're getting, I hear that buses are getting tore up due to that. And number three, I'm sure that the residents of Michigan City are tired of driving across that piece of blacktop and shaking their heads going, what is going on here with the city? But now at least I have a response to go back and tell the residents that it's up to the Redevelopment Commission to push forward, to get a deadline, to get this done, and it's in their hands right now. City Council has nothing to do with it at this juncture, but it's up to the Redevelopment Commission and the mayor, the administration of the city, to set a direction on how we want to get this fixed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That road is terrible. And I'm tired of driving over it as well. We've got a public comment, I believe, online.
Hey, this is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. I'm also the Common Council appointed to the Michigan City Fire Merit Commission. I think there is a really important date that happened. Tomorrow's going to be June 13th. And it was 50 years ago tomorrow night. It was the 50-year anniversary of the inferno that destroyed the Pullman Standard rail car shop. That basically began one of the biggest redevelopment commission projects in the history of the city. I think we all know the history of that. You know, the car shop back then, they had closed. Winskies had bought it, and they were converting over to warehousing. And they had some contractors there doing some welding. And what they did, they left a bolt smoldering in the rafters. They all went home from that, and that's what started. By the time they noticed it was on fire, it was too late. It all went up that night. That fire was so bad, if it wasn't for the flames blowing, wind was coming out of the south that night, carried all the embers of the fire out over the lake. We'd have had another great Chicago fire on our hands. And we all know that's now the size of the Lighthouse place. After Winski sold it, they sold it to the developers that built Lighthouse Mall back in the 80s. So I wanted to mention that. And I said, what Councilman Don Preswinsky, Rodney McCormick said, you got to take care of your property at Fifth and Pine. To me, that's almost reminiscent of something you drive down Broadway in Gary. But that's, you go down to cities like Carmel and Fishers and Noblesville and cities, your gold standard cities, you don't see nothing like that. You get it taken care of. As far as the town center drive, you're right. You got to subdivide the roadway portions of that. Then the business need to quit claim deed all that over the Redevelopment Commission, just like you have the ownership of town center of Cleveland Avenue Extension. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other further public comments? Okay. Up next, we've got commissioner comments. Yes, sir.
Just to talk about the update for the preschool that's going to be placed in the old Brown Mackey College. The architects, we met with them about a week ago, and we had discussions over the playground, which has to be put in front of the building because of the poor soil conditions out in back. So we talked about the safety. Half of the playground will be built this year as it opens. And then the second half of the playground in front will be done when the new places for like the auto, the wood, and there's one other probably. I don't remember which the next one is, but there are some major classrooms that will go in there with the new technology. There will be 140 students in the 5 classrooms that are being completed in that building. The staff is getting ready to be hired. The teachers are going to be certified teachers in pre-K. But the project is on time. The project is right where it needs to be so we can have our students there at the beginning of the school year. So we'll have 4-year-olds in the building. They'll be called little wolves because they're little wolves. So it's just really great to see what they've been able to do with that building and what they're doing for the kids out in front. They'll have a lot of hands-on things that the kids can work with and grow things, and it'll be safe for them to be there. They will reroute the traffic so there won't be that many cars that are headed right at the playground. So we'll be in good shape. But everybody needs to know we're making it work, and we did a good job on that building as far as purchase, and that's because of our friend Kevin, which has helped out tremendously in the ways that we cover that building. So we're in good shape.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Dembkowski. Ms. Dennis?
No comment.
Ms. Nelson Deitch? Mr. Warner?
Other than welcome aboard to our new president, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett? Just a quick comment. Thank you for allowing me to take part in this important endeavor. I promise to do whatever I can to help progress Michigan City forward, and appreciate you all. So thank you. And just a quick mention here, next meeting date, July 10th, 2023. I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. All right. Thank you.